Hi, welcome to Cognitifying GMAT, your DIY study guide for the GMAT. GMAT Online is available until June 15, 2020, and if you have no choice but to take it, watch this video till the end to get 5 essential tips on properly practicing with the on-screen whiteboard. And at the end of this video, I will demonstrate solving a GMAT problem with the online whiteboard. Never ever think about writing down all steps using the online whiteboard. If you are doing like this, nope, that's not the way to do it. Let me give you 5 key tips on making the most of the whiteboard. The first tip is, if you have some time left before the GMAT Online test date, practice with a pen and paper in the beginning. Practice the whiteboard only if you are familiar with the GMAT concept and problems. So the steps are like this. 1. Solve problems with the pen and the notepad and focus on getting concepts. 2. When you become familiar with a certain concept, say you are confident in circle problems, practice solving those problems using the whiteboard without timing. Take as much time as you can and focus on becoming familiar with the on-screen whiteboard. 3. Begin to shorten your steps using the whiteboard. Time yourself when solving problems and maximize the uses. Don't write out all equations but shorten steps. If you follow these 3 steps, you will do well on the test day. The second tip is to memorize certain values of numbers to shorten your steps. These are the potential time savers. This applies the same to all GMAT test takers, including the regular ones. For example, memorize all popular exponents. 3 cubed is 27, 4 cubed is 64, 5 cubed is 125, 12 squared is 144, 15 squared is 225, and so on. You can also memorize the length of some right triangles. 3, 4, 5, 5, 12, 13, and 20, 21, 29. For a special right triangle with 30, 60, 90 degrees, it's 1 square root of 3 and 2. Also memorize the common roots. Square root of 2 is approximately equal to 1.4. Memorize it as Valentine's Day. Square root of 3 is approximately equal to 1.7. Memorize it as St. Patrick's Day. Memorizing approximate values of square root of 2 and square root of 3 helps you to verify some numbers in the GMAT when you need to. Cube root of 8 is 2. Cube root of 27 is 3. Quadruple root of 81 is equal to 3. Cube root of 125 is 5. Cube root of 64 is equal to 4, and so on. So memorize all these time savers and any others you may think useful to shorten math steps. Then you won't have to spend much time using the whiteboard. The third tip is the placement of the whiteboard. In the GMAT Online, the touch screen is always maximized. You can't do anything about it. And the whiteboard is on top of this touch screen. Place the whiteboard at the bottom center of the screen because it is the ideal place that won't have to move the whiteboard around much because it blocks viewing the question. This bottom center spot is good because you can view the question number, the timer, and the next button on the test. The only time you'd have to move the whiteboard is clicking on the next button and confirming to move on to the next question. This is another annoying feature of the whiteboard because the whiteboard stays on top all the time. So you have to move around the whiteboard every time you click on the next button. So how to practice this at home before the test? Make 2 separate windows for your browser. For example, in Google Chrome browser, you can select File from menu and click on New Window to open up a new window. Place your touch screen on one window, maximize it horizontally, but vertically leave just a little bit of space at the bottom. Now load the whiteboard from Literary Canvas website I put in the description below. Adjust the whiteboard window so that this small window will fit into it. This whiteboard is exactly the same with that of the GMAT Online, so you can use this whiteboard. Then you can place the small whiteboard window at the bottom center of the screen so that you can click on this window with mouse whenever you need to. Keep in mind that in the actual test setting, it will take a little bit of more time activating and moving around the whiteboard. Keep practicing the whiteboard and at least you will be comfortable using it on the test day. The fourth tip is become familiar with the tools of the whiteboard. The main functions you need to learn are the following. Note that in the actual GMAT Online, the background of the whiteboard is white, not gray like this one. Number 1. Pay attention to the fill of the rectangle, circle, or polygon tools. Fill setting is located at the bottom of the stroke setting. Always make fillings alpha to 0 so that you can draw a transparent background of rectangles or circles. This function is very useful in drawing geometries or tables. Number 2. 2. Some people advise using the line tool, but devise your own way of making the most of the rectangle tool. For example, if you take some time to draw a table with the line tool only, when you use the rectangle tool, you can shorten steps drawing tables. This is especially important when you solve a percent problem and want to use tables. Practice this until you are comfortable using the rectangle tool. Number 3. Get familiar with the basic pencil tool. Practice so that you can write certain things faster. Try to minimize using the text tool because you don't want to go back and forth between mouse and keyboard when you use the whiteboard. That it takes some time, so you can practice quickly writing some letters for variables with this pencil tool. For example, instead of writing X like this, write X like this, each line crossing out. That's faster. Practice writing A, B, C, D, E, X, Y, P, and Q. You definitely need to practice to differentiate the letter Q because it can look like a number 9 or letter A. Number 4. Practicing using the polygon tool. The polygon tool is great to draw polygons. You can use it to draw a pentagon, hexagon, or any shape that needs content drawing of lines. Note that you don't need to close the polygon boundary when using it. Click on the polygon tool and begin to draw on the whiteboard with a single click of the mouse, and then double click the screen when you finish the drawing. Then you can finish using the polygon tool without having to draw a complete size. Double clicking will finish using the polygon tool. But if you close the size of any polygon, you can just single click it and the whiteboard will finish using the polygon tool. Number 5. Get familiar with the clear button, which is located at the bottom of the toolbox. Some people advise not to use the clear button because they write the timing table at one side or enter choice box at one corner. But you know what? Trying to erase stuff with the mouse is very annoying and time consuming. Forget about it. Just write the necessary things on the whiteboard and clear it every time you move on to the next question. It will save your energy and time. Number 6. Become comfortable using the pen tool to move the whiteboard around and the zoom functions at the bottom. If your question becomes complex, you may need to zoom out or pan the whiteboard. Practice it. Number 7. If you make a mistake, utilize the undo and redo button at the bottom. You can undo or redo several steps back or forward. Number 8. The last but not the least. Always practicing using the black color only. You don't have time to draw different colors. Save your time and get used to the black color. Welcome to the world of black and white. Oh, don't forget to clean your mouse to the bottom and wheel regularly. Your mouse may not function well if it's clogged with dirt and stuff. You don't want any surprises on the test day because you already had enough surprises so far. The 5th tip is writing down answer choices. I suggest you only take note of eliminated options, like this. Let's say you encountered the data sufficiency question in GMAT Online and you found that statement 1 alone is not sufficient. Then you can eliminate A and B. Just quickly take note of it on the whiteboard. As long as you can recognize it, it's okay if your writing is ugly. I mean, many of the doctors' handwritings are so bad in prescriptions because they don't have much time. So it's totally fine if your writing is bad on the whiteboard as long as you can recognize it yourself. So the strategy here is to write down answer choices and take note of it quickly. Some people advise making a whole table for the answer choices, but then you cannot use the clear button in the whiteboard. It would be better to use the clear button and your quick handwriting when it comes to answer choices. Just decide which corner you will take note of answer choices. Now, here comes the demonstration using the whiteboard. The question is, the ratio of the angles in a triangle is 1 to 4 to 10. What is the largest angle? Now let's solve this question using the whiteboard. This question doesn't require us to draw geometry on the whiteboard. Always think for a little while before using the whiteboard and think about how to approach each problem. We know that the sum of triangles is 180 degrees. Set up an equation in terms of ratio with the variable x. That will be x plus 4x plus 10x equals 180. Notice that this adds up to 15x on one side and you can calculate it mentally for some easy calculations. Don't write down all steps, keep detailed steps whenever you can. Write 15x is equal to 180. Now solve for x. How do you solve it quickly? Well, 15 times 10 is equal to 150 and 15 times 2 is 30. So 15 times 12 must be equal to 180. Do this step mentally and then verify with writing down on the whiteboard quickly if you need to. It looks like 15 times 12 is correct. So you can see that x is equal to 12 and the largest angle is 10x here. So 10x would be 10 times 12 which is equal to 120. So the answer is 120. Choose option E as the answer. Click on the clear button and move on. The key point is mentally calculate small steps when you can, but write down important information such as the value of x to avoid mistakes. The next question involves geometry. The question is, the coordinates of a parallelogram are 5p, 5, 9, 12, 12, 12q. If p is larger than 9 and q is greater than 12, what is the value of q? Statement 1 is p is equal to 7. Statement 2 is p minus q is equal to 7. If you think about it, you can solve this question without drawing it on the whiteboard. But let's assume that you need some visual help and need to use the whiteboard. Use the line tool and quickly draw the x, y coordinates. You are focusing on the first quadrant, so make enough room for the first quadrant. Approximately write down the coordinates. Because p is less than 9, the coordinate of 5p must be on the left side of 5, 9. Draw these two coordinates. You can always use the pen tool to move around the whiteboard if you need to. Now, let's draw the other two coordinates. I know that these two coordinates are far above the previous coordinates because the y-axis value is higher. But when you think about it, the y-axis is not crucial information in this question. You don't need to be precise with the graph, so just approximately draw the coordinates. 12, 12 is located at the right side of 5, 9, so it should be around here. Because q is greater than 12, 12q must be around here. If you can mentally calculate it from this point, that would be great. But if you can't, you may still need to draw the parallelogram to help you. Use the polygon tool. Set the fill settings alpha value to 0 first. Click on the polygon tool and let's begin from the left bottom coordinate and move counterclockwise. Now we got a parallelogram. It's not bad. Note that we got parallel sides for top and bottom, so length of this side must be equal. If you know the value of p just like the statement 1 indicates, then you can get the value of q. So statement 1 alone is sufficient. Eliminate options B, C, and E. I'm going to quickly write B, C, and E on one corner and strike them out. Now we consider if each statement alone is sufficient. Is statement 2 alone sufficient? Well, if you have two different equations with the two variables, then it will be sufficient. From the coordinates, we can get one equation involving these two variables. Here, 9 minus p is equal to q minus 12. Write this equation on one side of the whiteboard. Rearrange the equation and put variables on one side, numbers on the other side. Notice that we got a different equation compared to the statement number 2. This is important. We don't need to solve for the actual value of q because that is not the point of data sufficiency. Just check if the data are sufficient or not. With statement 2 alone, the data are sufficient because we got two variables and two different equations. Therefore, the answer is D. So choose D and move on. Now, this step is not ideal in the actual GMAT exam setting. I'll show you an alternative step assuming that you don't need to draw all parallelogram coordinates. Before solving the problem, think for a moment. What is the property of a parallelogram? A parallelogram has two parallel sides, which means it has two same length sides. Then we know that the length of a parallelogram, top and bottom, should be the same. So if we know the value of p in statement 1, we can get the value of q because the length of top and bottom sides are the same. Statement 1 alone is sufficient. All these steps were taken mentally. Just write down on the whiteboard and eliminate B, C, and E. Now we consider if statement 2 alone is sufficient. We are given a condition that P is larger than 9 and Q is greater than 12. Just double check if you can get a different equation with P and Q. 9 minus P is equal to Q minus 12. Rearrange variables on one side and numbers on the other side. We have 9 plus 12 equal to Q plus P. Since we got a different equation than the one in statement 2, we can see that statement 2 alone is sufficient. Choose D as the final answer. This step was much short, right? So the key takeaway here is that you need to mentally think the steps before you solve the problem and think about how to approach the problem. Not every question needs drawing, but all questions need reasoning. I hope my demonstration was helpful and check out my video on how others took GMAT Online if you haven't. Good luck with preparing the GMAT Online with Whiteboard and smash the like button if you haven't. See you next time.